Okay, picture this. You're handed a complete blank slate. Not for a company, not for a project, but for an entire state, home to millions of people. Where would you even start to build a modern, thriving society from scratch?
Well, that is the huge question we're going to tackle today. We're going to do it by looking at the story of one of India's newest states, a place that's been wrestling with this very challenge for the last decade.
Yep, we're talking about Telangana. And get this, it was only formed in 2014. So it's basically a real-time experiment, a living laboratory for what it takes to build a state in today's world.
All right, so let's get into it. The fascinating thing is, from the very beginning, Telangana didn't just wing it. Nope, they had a plan, a real multifaceted strategy for growth that people now call the Telangana Model.
So what's in this blueprint? Well, we're going to look at 5 main parts. First, how they fired up their industrial engine. Second, how they became an agricultural powerhouse. Then we'll talk about investing in people, followed by their digital-first approach to government. And finally, we'll check the scoreboard, the economic results.
All right, first up, fueling that industrial engine. Look, to build a 21st century economy, you need investment. Telangana knew they had to become a place where businesses wanted to be, like an absolute magnet for capital.
And they boiled their whole philosophy down to this one simple but really powerful idea. This was all about a massive shift away from the old days of bureaucratic red tape, you know? The goal was a system that actually helped businesses get up and running, and do it fast.
So, the star of the show here is this policy called TSI Pass, and the game-changing part, the phrase rights to clearance. This wasn't just some nice promise. It was a legal guarantee. If you, as an investor, ticked all the boxes, the government was legally bound to give you the green light on time.
And this just shows you how wild of a change this was. The process went from a literal mountain of paperwork, we're talking 110 different documents, all the way down to just 10. And it was based on self-certification. The whole mindset flipped. It was now trust first, verify later, instead of being a roadblock. So, the big question, did it actually work? Oh yeah, big time. This policy pulled in huge names from all these cutting-edge sectors. Think about it, massive custom-built hubs like Hyderabad Pharmacity and the giant textile park in Warangal. They were literally building a diverse, strong industrial foundation from the ground up.
Okay, so industry is booming, but that's only part of the story. Let's move to pillar number 2, turning the state into an agricultural powerhouse. At the very same time they were building factories, they were launching a huge effort to completely transform their farms.
The strategy here was pretty smart, kind of two-pronged. First, build up the infrastructure. Second, put money directly into farmers' pockets. You had Mission Bhagirath, which, get this, brought tap water to every single rural home. And at the same time, you had programs like Ritu Bima, which is a life insurance plan, and Ritu Bharosa, which gives direct financial help. It was all about creating a real safety net for farmers. So again, did this pay off? Just look at this chart. A 51% explosion in the amount of land being farmed in just 7 years. We're not talking about a little bump here. This was a complete transformation, all thanks to better water and direct support for the people working the land. And here's the real kicker. The amount of land used for growing rice, it shot up by an insane 180%. Think about that. In less than 10 years, Telangana goes from being the new kid on the block to being called the Rice Bowl of India. Just wow. All right, pillar number 3. This one's all about investing in people. Because the Telangana model wasn't just about big industry or farms. It was also laser-focused on social programs, especially for those who needed it most. A fantastic example is something called the KCR Kit. And this is so smart. It wasn't just a simple handout, it was a targeted plan. They gave new mothers cash and a kit with 15 essentials for their baby. The goal? To encourage them to deliver in a hospital. This directly improved the health of both moms and babies. It's what you'd call policy with a real human touch.
And this focus on people's well-being is still a huge priority. The current government has rolled out what they're calling the 6 guarantees, basically building on that same foundation. You can see in this table, we're talking about things like free bus travel for women, cheaper cooking gas, better health insurance. It really shows this long-term commitment to Social Security.
Okay, moving on to our 4th pillar, making government digital and bringing it closer to the people. Because look,
If you want to deliver on all these big promises for industry, farming, and social programs, you have to completely rethink how the government itself operates.
The first big move was a structural one. They took the number of districts from just 10 all the way up to 33. This literally brought the government's offices closer to where people lived. It wasn't just about moving lines on a map, it was about making the whole system more local, easier to reach, and more responsive. And then came step 2, the digital revolution. This slide really lays it out. The goal was to get away from the old system, the one with endless waiting, stacks of paper files, and where everything depended on some official's mood. They wanted to move to a totally transparent digital model where records are online for anyone to see, anytime.
And this isn't just theory, right? These are actual real-world tools that made life easier. You've got the Durrani portal, which put all the agricultural land records online. That's a huge deal for preventing disputes. Or the MyGHMC app, where you can literally report a pothole from your phone. And then there's T-Appfolio, which is like having hundreds of government services in a single app on your phone.
So we've walked through the plan for industry, for farming, for people, and for government. But what's the bottom line? What do the numbers say? Let's take a look at the economic scorecard.
What really jumps out at me here is the balance. You can literally see the results of that multi-part strategy in the state's economy. Sure, the services sector is the biggest piece of the pie, but look at that. Industry and agriculture are making really strong, almost equal contributions. That's what a healthy, diversified economy looks like. So how does that performance compare to the rest of the country? Well, this chart says it all. For the 2023-24 year, Telangana's economy grew at about 7.5%. That's actually faster than the all-India average. So this model isn't just a nice idea on paper, it's delivering real, top-notch growth.
Which brings us right back to our big question from the beginning. Telangana has given us one really powerful answer on how to build a state for the 21st century. Their model, this focused, simultaneous push on industry, farming, people, and technology, has produced some pretty amazing results. And that leaves us with the big final question to think about. Could this blueprint work somewhere else?